Good day, guys. Welcome back. Thought it would be a good idea to create a tutorial for debugging. Um, Early on in programming, you do your Hello World um, program, which is kind of simple, but you want to be able to debug your programs when they start to get a little bit more complicated. So it's very important at the very beginning that you learn how to debug some of the stuff that's happening in your program. Um, so let's just start a program here with a couple of buttons. This is always useful. You highlight buttons. We want to resize these buttons. So whichever one is highlighted in white here, if you go to Format, you go to Make Same Size, and you click both, you'll get the same size. I accidentally dragged that too big, so you could actually copy these as well, paste them if you wanted to create multiple. You know, you copy all four and paste those if you wanted to create 8, that type of thing. We'll just put a couple on here. Let's see. We'll make this one say hello. This one will be say goodbye. This one will I'll ask, how are you? This one will say, fine, thanks. Alright, so you can see now, say hello fits here. Say goodbye doesn't quite fit on this button. Alright, and neither do the rest of them. So what do? You can resize it. Alright, and resize this one until they do fit. Probably this one would probably be the biggest one. So let's just go ahead and we'll format them, make them all the same size. Looks like they all fit. They're a little bunched up right there. Not sure how that happened, but let's separate them a little bit. Get them lined up right. There we go. So we're going to stick a text box up here. Make it big enough. Can actually tidy this up a little bit. Okay. So this text box will be my prefix for text box is txt, and I will say I'll just call it conv for conversation. So text box conversation. So when we click say hello, we want to say hello in this box. So we're going to double click that. We're going to say txt com.text equals hello. We'll do the same for here. Txt com.text equals goodbye. Sorry, I'm being lazy here. How are you? And fine, thanks. So, just for the debugging piece, right? I should have renamed these. In fact, let's go and do that. And this is why it's important to name these. So this is a good lesson. So you have 4 buttons, right? Say hello, say goodbye, how are you, and find things. When you go look at it in the code, how do you know? I mean, this could be the find things button and you have it saying goodbye. Or this could be the goodbye button and you have it saying how are you. Now, I know that these are right, so let's see. Oh, this was from previous. We'll just take those out. That's okay. That was from the previous program that I did. I deleted them, so say hello, say goodbye, how are you, find things, right? So we know that works. So let's just go in and say we're gonna switch these, right? So we'll cut this out. Now this is what happened? Sorry about that. We will switch these on purpose, right? To just demonstrate the debugging piece. So we're going to see right away that these are wrong. So how are you is actually saying find things, and find things is saying how are you. So this is really easy. We have 1 line of code. But let's just say that we didn't know what was happening here. We didn't understand what was flipped, right? So how do we follow it? There's a way to follow when I click this step through the code to see what's happening, right? So what we'll do is, you know that starting right here, when you click this is where it goes wrong, right? When I click how are you, it's saying find things. So why is that? So we'll double click here, and you can see it brings us right to that block of code. You can see it's clicking right there. So what we'll do is come off in the margin here, and you put a red dot. Now every time I click this button, which I should have named, I still haven't, I don't know why. This is why you do this, but button hello, button goodbye, button how are you, and button fine. So if we go back to the code, you can see here's the names that I just gave them. The handles, button hello, button goodbye, button how are you, and button fine. Had I named them before I created this code or double clicked on them, these names would have been over here rather than button 3, 4, 2, and 1, and it makes it a little bit more meaningful, easier to follow. So you know what button you're clicking, and you know you can see the code, right? So that's the first step. You want to make sure that you name any of the objects that you're going to use on the form for that reason. So anyway, we put the red dot here so because when we click on this button, right, we want to track what's happening, right? So red dot here, because we're tracking this button. So now we start the program, and we've marked that red dot to say if you touch that line of code, I want to see it, right? So when we click it, it brings us back into the program and shows us what's happening, right? So it says this is the code that you're executing right now, right? And you use these little step arrows. You could step over code if you want. You can step out of this code if you want, or you could step through. We want to step through, step into. So the first code we come across is textgon text, which is the text box, equals find things. So I'm like, wait a minute, this is the how are you? Click. Alright, because of the name that you see here and the name you should see here, you're like, wait a minute. So you can actually drill down and see all of the different properties of that text box, everything that's going on, what the values are in it, and all that stuff. Alright. But once you start to follow the logic, you say, wait a minute, this is the how are you button, right? And the how are you code is down here. What's it doing down here? Oh, we got these switched. Alright, so here's the find, which should have this. And you're kind of going the other way. So you have to stop your program, stop debugging. And then you can grab this, come down here, switch it around. Alright, run your program again. And then remember, you still have your dot here. So it's gonna step through. So if you continue to run the command, if you step through, it'll go to the next line of code. And now you can see that the text box equals nothing here, right? It's nothing. Doesn't actually fill it until you step through that line of code. So if I were to step through now, put my mouse over, you can see it equals how are you, right? So if I can continue and go to the program, there it is. How are you? Fine, thanks. Now if I click this again, it's gonna go back to this line and do it all over again. So I know it's good. I can click on here again and take it away, and then just hit continue. And now it'll work without stopping on that line of code. And now we know we have it where it should be. So just an easy debugging method that you'll should start to use as a beginning programmer using VB. Hope you enjoyed it. Talk to you soon.